Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Stonewall Democrats of Dallas October General Meeting for 2021. We are very happy to have you with us. I'm Todd Hill-Jones. I'm president of the Stonewall Democrats of Dallas, and my pronouns are he, him, and his. And so it's 6:31. Folks are still sort of joining us at this point, so we're just going to wait about another minute, and then we'll get started with our agenda. So if you'll just hang with us for a minute. If you're a precinct chair, welcome. We're always happy to have you, and thank you for your service. I would encourage you to change your name or to add your precinct chair position so that we know which precinct you're representing. If you're a candidate and you would like to add that into your name as well, you're more than welcome to do that as well. We'll get started here in just a second. Need to start having interlude music. Okay. And Omar, if you'll just make sure that all of our officers are co-hosts, that way they can mute and unmute themselves. All right. All right, again, just welcome to the folks that have joined us this evening. Again, Todd Hill-Jones, president of Stonewall Democrats of Dallas. Pronouns are he, him, and his. Really appreciate you joining us for our October general meeting. And so we have an active agenda in terms of things that we want to get done tonight. But one of the most important things that I wanted to take the opportunity to do is give you all sort of a state of play, a state of where we are as an organization in comparison to the work that we've done this year based on our strategic plan, which we adopted in the beginning of this year as an executive board. And so in doing that with this process, I'm going to actually move my Zoom screen to my second screen so that I can bring up my presentation. I promise this will not be death by PowerPoint for you all. I will try to make it as entertaining as I can. And since I'm going to be sort of mostly focused on the presentation in front of me, I've asked that Susie Hess help me with questions that you all may have in the chat, since I'm not going to be able to really review that as I sort of cover this presentation for you all. So please, if you have questions as I move along in providing the assessment of the organization, pop those into the chat and I'll make sure and cover those at the end of the presentation. So where are we as an organization? Just a quick summary. The state of the organization is strong and we are fiscally sound heading into 2022, which is a good position for us to be as an organization. Administratively speaking, we're stronger than we were at the beginning of 2021. And so with all that said, some of the elements and things that we wanted to have in place administratively are now in place as we go into the new year. So that's good. And in terms of memberships for the organization, we have an increase in new memberships, which also are showing a new sort of diverse pool of members to the organization, which is great. That was something we wanted to do. We'll talk a little bit about that. And then also lapsed members who had left the organization for whatever various reasons they may have done so. We've had an uptick and increase in those folks coming back to the organization as compared to 2020. And although that we've made this progress, and we'll talk about some of the progress we made, I will also talk about some of the work that's left to be done. We haven't achieved everything that we wanted to achieve on our strategic plan. So there's some things that we want to make sure we're well positioned to take care of in 2022. Just a reminder, as far as the plan itself, the purpose of it, of course, is to give us guidance, make sure that we have objectives that are specific, measurable, attainable, and make sure they're timely. So these are all elements that we want to make sure that we're part of what we develop for the objectives of the organization. Also, this is really a living, breathing document that lives well beyond either my service or that service or the service of another individual on the board. This is meant to hand over sort of as a baton to leadership as we move along. Therefore, it's a living document that breathes and changes over time. And so as a reminder, there were 5 key pillars to the strategic plan: outreach, advocacy, inclusivity, communications, and fundraising/finance. And so I'll cover all of those elements and sort of the progress that we've made so far this year. Starting with outreach, in terms of progress, we have broadened our internal and external relationships. The pandemic didn't help us as far as progress is concerned, but we made the best of the situation. And so broadening those relationships, I think, again, puts us well positioned in 2022 to continue that progress. A good number of you are not only members of Stonewall Democrats of Dallas, but you're members of other organizations around the county. You're also members of, I hope, if you're not, you should become members of the Dallas Democratic Party. And so we really wanted to encourage you all not only to support us and be volunteers with us and financially support us, but we want to make sure that you're also supporting other organizations with similar goals and things and activities that we as an organization are doing too. We have expanded alliances and engagements with other clubs. I've had excellent conversations with other club leaders about what more we can do to sort of align and work together, particularly around voter registration. And certainly as we head into 2022, what more we can do to pool resources and volunteers to support the campaigns that we know are going to be active. Part of that ability is really us as an organization being a member of the Dallas Democrats Club Council. As you know, the new county chair, Christy Noble, has reconstituted that. We are members of that. And so that helps us to sort of deepen those relationships and engage other organizations. Also allows us to communicate with each other about what we're doing so that we're not really stepping on each other's toes. So in terms of work to do in outreach, obviously we want to continue and deepen our relationships with elected officials. I'll talk about this in a second, but of course we were successful in helping to get elected a number of candidates to the Dallas City Council. So some of those were existing relationships, but we want to obviously continue to deepen those. And then of course our elected officials, we want to make sure that we're talking to them about what our objectives are, what are the issues that are important to us as we go into and ultimately put our work into play in 2022. Community engagement is another area. Again, this is where the pandemic didn't necessarily help us, but over the last couple of months, as we begin to get back out into the community, we've done really great with making sure that we have presence at different events and activities around the county. I anticipate that'll continue. We have a calendar of events and activities that we're going to make sure that we have presence with. So we want to make sure that Stonewall is out there and visible and that people know we exist if they don't already. Expanded media outreach. This was one of the key pillars of outreach that we wanted to achieve. We fell a little short here. We have strong relationships with existing LGBTQ media, but it would be really nice for us as an organization in 2022 to make sure we broaden that to other community media, other demographic media such as African American, Hispanic, et cetera. We want to make sure that we have good relations with those entities. And then strategic voter targeting. This is another area where I would like to see us strengthen in 2022. I think we can do that with the relationship of being a member of the Dallas Democrats Club Council. Working with the Dallas Democratic Party, I anticipate that we'll be able to work with them on making sure that we have the resources to do better strategic voter targeting of our community to be able to talk about the 2022 elections. In terms of advocacy, this is one of the areas where we really, I think, did well, but we obviously have some work to do still. We did have a successful endorsement screening process, which was hybrid based on where we were with the pandemic. But ultimately, roundly, the feedback that we received was that it was a judicious and effective process. We endorsed 12 candidates in the City of Dallas municipal elections. 10 of those candidates won their races for an 83% win rate. So we were proud of that. We were proud to work with other organizations and those campaigns ultimately to help them win. It was obviously a team effort beyond just Stonewall. We influenced the dark board appointment process, whether that be through calls, letters, et cetera, to ultimately make sure that Hosanna Yemaru was put into that position. And so we're very proud that we could make sure our voice was heard. Although it's not here, we also did an effort in making sure the Arlington City Council passed their LGBTQ inclusive charter resolution, which mirrors that of Dallas and Fort Worth. Again, it's not mentioned here, but phone calls and letters and otherwise were being made to encourage, even though it was outside of our county, we wanted to make sure and encourage Arlington to join Dallas and Fort Worth. We did constitute a volunteers committee, but because we asked Tanae Barker to sort of wear two hats outside of just membership committee, she was an interim chair for our volunteers committee. I would like to see us have a chair in that position. That's somewhere where I want to see some stabilization in our executive board, so that going into 2022 and ultimately into that election cycle, we're expecting next year, that we have a volunteers committee that's putting out calls to action to members about what to do. We did invest over $10,000 in the campaigns and elections this cycle. That was a good chunk of change, and ultimately made a difference, we feel, obviously, in the election results. And our presence as members and as an organization, we're certainly, I think, present and accounted for as far as the legislative session. A number of you testified, wrote letters. You made sure that you were engaged with your state legislators to ensure they knew your positioning on the issues. And so thank you for all of that hard work. Areas of work to do. I'm actually engaged in conversation with a few organizations about more advocacy training in 2022. I would like to see us increase that and ultimately maybe look at providing scholarships to members to be able to participate in training if they can't afford it. The more that we can, provide you the tools and resources you need to be effective, campaign volunteers and advocates, the stronger campaigns will be ultimately in the cycle of 2022. And again, I just want to make sure and encourage you all, if you're looking to get involved, help us with the volunteers committee. That's the best way that we can make sure calls to action, are effective and ultimately our presence is felt. Moving on to the next pillar, which is inclusivity. We did constitute a bylaws committee, counter to that as far as work to do. The committee needs to finish its work. And so they've had great, robust conversations about ways we can sort of amplify our bylaws and make them better and ultimately more inclusive of membership input. And so I anticipate in 2022 that we'll make more progress in finishing the work of the committee. We enhanced our operations and better managing the organization, which ultimately I think gives people confidence and ultimately the organization credibility in the work that we're doing. And so, we want to make sure that as we fill executive board positions, that it's representative, obviously, of our community, and that those folks can plug into our operations and help us be effective. And of course, as we continue to raise membership and bring in new members, maybe even lapsed members, as we've done so well so far, making sure that it's, representative of the organization and our community as a whole. So continuing that diversity arc is what we want to do with the organization in 2022. Communications is another area where I feel like we've really exceeded what we wanted to do in the strategic plan for this year. I feel like we have much stronger, more organized, more dedicated communication to our members. There's a monthly newsletter. There's at least a weekly to bi-weekly email that's going out about either a call to action or information related to what we're doing. And then ultimately, it was a commitment on my part as president to make sure that you as members are receiving the agenda and meeting information and any attachments associated with that on an early basis. At least try to get it out to you a week in advance so that you feel like you are prepared and have the information you need to be involved in our meetings each month. And so work to do on that side of things. It would be nice if we had a more organized communications calendar. I have one in my mind, which probably doesn't do the entire board all that much good. But if we have a more effective calendar that we're all collaborating on, I think we can probably have even better communication, and we're going to need it in the cycle that's ahead. I also want to see us do board town halls. This is something I did want to do this year. We did not have a chance to do it. A lot of it was just because of the pressing things that we had going on. But obviously, I want to be able to create environments outside of this meeting, the general meeting every month, to be able to hear from you all. We did do some surveying, but I think town halls will be helpful to hear more directly from you. And the board has heard me talk about this probably ad nauseum. I'm not happy with our web presence. I want to see a better, stronger web presence on our part. We're having communication and conversations with some members about helping us with that. And so I do want to maybe look at having, I don't want to say a different presence, but certainly an enhanced, better presence than what we currently have with our website. So more to come on that. And if that's something of interest to you, please do reach out to me or our communications chair, David Heflin. Fundraising. This is, again, an area where I think we exceeded expectations. So we developed a fundraising plan. Actually, we had developed it at mid-year 2020. We enhanced it with Vonda Bailey as our fundraising chair to prepare for 2021. And then, as Vonda does, she blew it out of the water in terms of the work she has been doing as chair of the committee. We more than doubled the organization's finances since January 1 of this year. As I mentioned earlier, we have seen an increase in membership, upwards of 25% of new members compared to where we were at the beginning of this year. The most exciting statistic, if you dive into that data a little bit more, is that out of that 25%, it's more African American, it's more Hispanic, it's more Asian Pacific than what our current membership reflects. And so I feel excited about the diversity that's coming from our new membership, I should say. And so I want to see us continue in that trajectory. And again, as far as bringing new members, or excuse me, lapsed members, I should say, that had left the organization for whatever reason, we're at about 38% there. And so we're excited to have members that, for whatever reason may have left us, have come back. We want to see that continue, that trend continue. So work to do. We want to continue the trends I just mentioned. So we're always looking for new members. The last month and a half, we've tabled at events where we've been able to have community presence that have allowed us to bring in new members. I anticipate we'll continue to do that. And of course, we have one more event, at least for 2021, and that's our December 6th event that you all should have received a save the date for, in which that'll be our virtual program and 25th anniversary event. And so we do have at least that one more event where we anticipate raising some additional financial support for the organization that ultimately will funnel down into our endorsed candidates and the campaigns for 2022. So how can you help Stonewall Dallas for the remainder of this year and for 2022? Well, I want to encourage you to consider re-electing the existing board members to continue the progress that we've made. I, for one, am proud of the work that we've done, and I also recognize that we have more work to do. We left some things on the table. And as a leader, I want to make sure that we continue to elevate our efforts and ultimately achieve the goals that we set out to do at the beginning of this year with our strategic plan. So I am prepared to lead for another term if you all feel you wish to nominate me to do that again. I'm a seasoned leader, I'm a battle-tested leader, and we know the election cycle that we have ahead of us in 2022. And so I am prepared to lead the organization if you all feel I'm worthy of renominating and ultimately electing again. I have heard from all the board members, the existing officers, they are all ready to serve again. So as you think about and we look at opening up officer positions and nominations for that here momentarily, I hope that you keep that in mind, that you have an opportunity to bring back the same board that's been working very, very hard to achieve some of the goals that we've achieved this year, continuing the work that we've done into 2022. I want to ask you all to please consider popping into one of these committees because we need your help. There's a number of committees that you can join, from membership to communications, voter registration, fundraising, volunteers, and meetings. If you're interested in any of those positions, as far as participating or considering being a chair or co-chair, send us an email to admin@stonewalldemocratsofdallas.org. You could also reach out to the individual chairs that exist now. You can, let them know of your interest and they'll help you to get plugged in. If you're a member in good standing, I want to ask you to recruit 2 new members out in the community out there, Dallas County or beyond, to join us as an organization as we prepare for the work we want to do in 2022. And if you're a member in good standing and you know some lapsed members out there that you feel they should be, looking at us again and considering coming back, bring them in. So either 2 new members or 2 lapsed members. I want to issue that challenge to you all to help us out and continue to, fill the ranks of membership here with Stonewall. If you're listening to us, you're participating in our meeting today, but you're not a member. Why? Why are you not a member? No, I'm just kidding. We want you to become a member. And so I would encourage you to check out the website, stonewalldemocratsofdallas.org/membership. And, sign up as a member tonight. It's $35 for general membership, but you can, ultimately, depending on your financial appetite, there are other ways in which you can show your membership financially. And so we want to encourage you to do that. As always, and I think a good number of you already have my phone number, you have my email. I always love having conversations with you all. I'm always looking for ways to improve the organization. I don't have all the great ideas and all of the answers to everything, but I'm a darn good listener. And ultimately, if you've got great ideas, I want to make sure to implement them. And most importantly, if you have great ideas, I want to encourage you again to plug into us and what we're doing. I just plugged this a second ago, but it's just a simple reminder that we do have our event on December 6th that we're very excited about. It is a virtual event. Hopefully it'll be our last virtual event heading into 2022. Spirit of Stonewall celebrating our 25th anniversary. We're very honored to have Cecile Richards as the key program speaker. And we're truly honored too to have Gloria Campos, the former co-anchor with WFAA Channel 8, who's a really decorated, amazing program moderator. We're excited to have her moderate this discussion with Cecile Richards. If you're interested in host committee opportunities, I would encourage you to reach out to Vonda at vonda@stonewalldemocrats@dallas.org. You can, obviously can talk to me about that too, but we would love to chat with you more about how you can support the program that we're developing on December 6th. And with that, I thank you all. That is the state of the organization from my perspective and based on the strategic plan that we put into place at the beginning of this year. Let me stop sharing. I did not have an opportunity to see questions that may have came through, but Susie, if you can help me see where I need to pick up on any questions that I can answer that folks have.
Actually, we haven't posted any questions at all, just some thank yous from people. And Felicia Petrie, thank you for your challenge accepted comment in there. People are so kind, and I think are recognizing the momentum that we have as a team here and really want to get involved. So we're counting on you guys.
Yeah, definitely. We're counting on you. And, you know, I wanted to be transparent about what I felt we've done, but what I know we can do more of, not only for the remainder of this year, but going into 2022 with an important cycle ahead. So again, reach out to me if you have questions, you want to talk offline. Most importantly, plug in and help us. And so we obviously love your feedback, but we want to make sure that we have a place for you to help us on the board or on a committee. So seeing that there is no questions that I can answer at this point, we're going to move on to agenda item number 2, which is to open nominations for 2022 board officers. We will start with the position of